Well, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the Greenwood District 52 Board of Trustees meeting. I'd like to go ahead and call our meeting to order at this time. And also at this time, I'd like to ask Tinley Wall to come and give us our invocation. Will everyone please rise?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us the opportunity to gather here together on this beautiful day. Before we begin this meeting, we ask for your love, guidance, and protection in everything we do. Fill our hearts with your love as we come before you. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. We ask you for wisdom and grace to use our talents for the betterment of others. Thank you, God, for your amazing power and work in our lives and for your goodness and blessings over us. Please, God, watch over all of us gathered in this room today and bless the ones who could not be here with us. Help us to always honor you and remember that all we have is a gift from you. With gratitude, I offer this prayer. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Mr. Reynolds, will you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we need to affirm our agenda for tonight.
Motion to approve the agenda is printed.
So, okay, there's a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and you also have in your board packet the minutes from our February 13th meeting. We need to approve those as well. Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
There's a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, any board comments at this time? Okay, seeing none, we also did not have anyone sign up for public comment. So at this time, we'll do our recognitions. Start with our Heart of the Wildcat recipients. Ms. Weeks.
Good evening. Both of our staff members were unable to attend tonight. Our staff at 96 Primary School each month votes to recognize one teacher and one staff member of the month. The character word that we chose to focus on for the past month was kindness and empathy. These staff members are known by their peers for being a positive light and always working hard and lending a hand to make sure that our days at 96 Primary School go smoothly. These two ladies think of themselves before others and are determined to make every day a great one. Our teacher of the month for February is Miss Leslie Lemons. She actually lost her father last week and was unable to come tonight. And I'd love to have the possibility to maybe spotlight her again next month. But Miss Lemons teaches kindergarten for us. She is a passionate teacher who values her students and helps to create a positive learning experience in her classroom. She's an active learner and challenges her students to do the same. Miss Lemon's love for the Wildcats and the 96 community is evident in all that she and her family does. We are appreciative of all that Miss Lemons does for our students at 96 Primary School. Our staff member of the month is Miss Stacy Lopez. Miss Stacy works with our special needs community at 96 Primary School. This is her first year, and her passion to help our students with special needs is evident in everything that she does. She assists our students in being a part of the general education setting on a daily basis. She takes students into classrooms to be a part of morning meetings, related arts, lunch, and recess. Those students comment and teachers comment regularly on how calming and thoughtful her actions are each day. We're so thankful and appreciative that Miss Stacy is a part of our family at 96 Primary School. Thank you.
Ms. Loudon?
Good evening again. At 96 Elementary, we have adopted life traits that coincide with the profile of a South Carolina graduate. Each month, we recognize students and staff members who exhibit life traits that set our school up for success. This month, our life trait was kindness. This month, our faculty and staff nominated Michelle Rowell as the Teacher of the Month. Ms. Rowell, come forward. Ms. Rowell is in her 36th year of teaching, 26 of those years spent at 96 Elementary School. She is part of our 5th grade team where she teaches ELA and social studies. Ms. Rowell exemplifies kindness in everything she says and does. She always has a smile on her face, encourages her students and coworkers, and has a genuine concern for others. She is generous with her time and talents by helping with our honors course program after school every week. Ms. Rowell always puts others before herself and finds ways to make others feel loved. She makes the environment around her a happier place because of her kindness. We are blessed to have Ms. Rowell at 96 Elementary, and because of her, our school continues to shine. And our support staff of the month was Ms. Sheila Wirtz. Ms. Sheila is part of our cafeteria staff. She is also a perfect choice for our Life Trait Kindness. She is a pleasant presence in our cafeteria. She always has a smile waiting for each student and teacher when they enter the cafeteria. She is willing to jump in and help wherever and whenever needed. We appreciate what she does for our school, and we just thank her for being such a shining light in our cafeteria. Thank you.
Good evening. Edgewood Middle School's life trait this month was survival. No, just kidding. We're recognizing our teacher of the month. She was sick today, so she was not able to be here this evening, but we want to recognize Caroline Turner. She is a rookie for us this year, first-year teacher, although she doesn't seem like a first-year teacher because she did a practicum first semester her senior year, and she student taught with us last year and filled in and subbed for the remainder of the school year even after she finished student teaching. So this is really kind of her second year in the building. She's kind of taken over our after-school program and heading that up this year. She's kind of a take-charge teacher. In every situation that she comes across, she likes to get in and see what needs to be done to help out and to improve the situation. So like Ms. Weeks, I'd like to be able to recognize her next month as well whenever she's able to be here and she's not out ill. So Edgewood Middle this month is Caroline Turner.
Good evening. 96 High School would like to recognize Mr. Mark Latham. He's not here this evening, but he is in our Flex Academy. Mr. Latham is our support staff member of the month. He does an outstanding job in our Flex Academy. Plus, he's just one of those people we can plug in anywhere. We use him lots of different places when he's not in Flex Academy. So Mr. Mark Latham is a big help around 96 High School. And then our Teacher of the Month, voted on by the students, was Coach Kenneth Dockel. He's new to us this year. We brought him in this year to add an extra strength and conditioning coach. He's done an outstanding job in the weight room. He's been a big part of changing the culture in our athletic department and in our weight room. So, Coach Kenneth Dockel, thank you.
Now I believe we're going to recognize some students from our Beta Club from the elementary and the Edgewood Middle.
Good evening again. Tonight, I'm just so excited to recognize members of our Junior Beta Club. This is the second year we've actually had this club in our building. Mr. Schoolfield has been after me for years to get our students involved in the state convention. So this year I kind of bit the bullet and did this. I talked to him several times over. He said, you know, it's overnight. So this was our first overnight trip. And I must say, it was a little anxiety ridden, but I must say, everything fell into place. And I am so proud of our boys and girls and how they did and how they worked so hard during our Beta Club state convention. And I cannot wait for you to see what they actually did at the convention. So at this time, I'm going to ask my Beta Club sponsors, Miss Becky Rush and Miss Chandler Wells, to highlight our trip.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chandler Wells. I am a sponsor for Beta Club. And I just want to kind of talk about the kids. We took 17 fantastic fifth graders with us to Myrtle Beach this year, and they competed in individual and group competitions in technology, visual arts, performing arts. We had a student that gave a speech, created things with from woodworking and painting, and engineering was a great activity for our kids, living literature. And we have a video to show the board for you guys to kind of see and highlight some of our events that we did.
Now performing 96 Elementary School.
My name is Science, and I am representing 96 Elementary School. Our zip line has a lot of features that showcases our school's spirit. For example, there is a 96 Adventure sign and a lion that represents our school's mascot. We plan to build different parts of the zip line so that we could successfully build the park in 45 minutes. Thank you for going on an adventure with us at the 96 Adventure Park.
Technology Elementary, first place, 96 Elementary School.
And that's how you divide decimals by decimals. Okay, class, we have a test today. Pass it out, please.
Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. And there's no other person I would have rather picked to join the National Junior Beta Club. Thank you.
Graduates, you may begin throwing your caps up in 3, 2, 1. Alright, will you turn around for me? Thanks. Put your helmet on. Max, back to earth. You've got tension.
Being a part of Beta is an adventure, one with exciting learning opportunities and unexpected experiences. The voyage of adventure can describe our journey through school. Our voyage begins in kindergarten when we begin our learning experiences, and we travel through the years as we become lifelong learners. During these years of learning, we can include the 4 pillars of Beta: achievement, character, leadership, and service. At 96 Elementary School, my fellow Beta members work hard to include the 4 pillars of Beta. Achievement can be shown in many ways. Being a part of Beta means that you show academic excellence and hard work ethic. Students strive to show achievement in their academic programs at 96 Elementary School. We have all achieved being members of Beta by getting exceeds on SC Ready and all A's on our grades. Character promotes lifelong skills, allowing students to prepare themselves for success. Having good character means encouraging integrity and honesty as we move throughout our school years. At our school, we are the oldest students there, and we strive to be a good role model for the younger students. Leadership is the ability to lead our classmates toward success. Leadership can be shown throughout our school buildings and also in our communities through involvement with service learning projects. Leadership can also show through character, service, and achievements, which is what I aim to do as student body president as well as a member of Beta Club. Service is probably the most important Beta. Serving others means being helpful whenever it is needed and thinking of others before ourselves. The motto of Beta Club is let us lead by serving others. At 96 Elementary School, student body president, I strive to be of service to my fellow classmates, students, school, and community. I have helped with service learning projects such as the camp food drive, collecting items for our local animal shelter, and also help with the Miracle League baseball games on Sunday mornings.
Boys and girls, I am so proud of you. I hope you keep doing it.
As Miss Loudon said, I'm Becky Rush, another sponsor, and I wanted to recognize some of the award winners. So at this time, when I call you up, if you do not mind coming up, and Josie, make sure you bring your beautiful painting. Max Manley, and his stop motion that you all saw won first place for elementary technology. Josie Winburn, and her painting won third place. And then I also want to recognize Tinley Wall, and she received a golden ticket, which means she was asked to perform at the opening ceremony for the Nationals in Savannah, Georgia. That will be in June. So all of these will be representing 96 Elementary School in Savannah, Georgia in June.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I would just like to say, our trip would not be possible if it were not for our chaperones. We had 12 to attend with us, and they kept us in line and kept things running smoothly. I told everybody that we had the best security detail, probably better than the President of the United States. So thank you to the parents that helped out. I also would like to thank Miss Ellen Pake. She actually drove the bus for us. She did a fantastic job of getting us to the convention and back safely. So I just want to thank her for all that she did for us. And I would challenge any of you to try to maneuver a bus on sand based off of where we were staying. But she did a fantastic job. I also would like to recognize Rob McMahon, who is our instructional technology coach for the district. He was very influential in helping our engineering students, because at one point we had several chiefs and not enough Indians. So I kind of asked him if he would come aboard and kind of help us get this together, because again, they had to construct that zip line in 45 minutes and 90 seconds explain it, and he was very helpful in helping our boys do that. And also, last but not least, Miss Manley. Miss Manley really worked with our boys and girls to really recreate the scene for our living literature. She spent countless hours after school, during her lunch, pulling kids so that we can get this together so that we could represent our school. And she also was a big hand in creating the video for you tonight to showcase our experience that we had in January. So thank you, Ms. Manley, for all that you do, not for the Beta Club, but for our students. So thank you so much. And I hope you were able to see the voyage of adventure through this video. So thank you.
I guess we're a little bit of old hands at the Beta Club convention. This was our third or fourth year taking them down to the Beta Club convention. We went a little bit different route when we started. Ms. Garner was able to go down there by herself to kind of see how it was. We kind of test the waters a little bit, and then we were able to take students down there. So this was the biggest group that we were able to take so far this year, and thankful to the elementary school for starting the Beta Club. So we were able to actually induct 6th grade members this year, because they were able to move up from the elementary chapter on up to the middle school chapter. So we took 38. I think we took 38.
We took 27.
Oh, just kidding. But 27, still the biggest group that we've taken. So, yeah, there was a lot of counting on there. And Ms. Loudon, the chaperoning part does not get any easier. The more that you take, it actually gets a little bit more difficult each year. So I'm going to turn this over to our fabulous sponsor, Ms. Carrie Garner, also our Teacher of the Year, and she is going to explain to you a little bit more about the trip.
There's no way I could outdo that video, but Rob helped me put together some pictures and a slideshow. So if we'll just take a second and we'll see some of our pictures from our trip. Told you we could not outdo that video. That was amazing. But I wanted to just read, and you might have read this in a newsletter or whatnot for our winners. But if you're here and you are one of our winners, if y'all would come forward, we've got a few of them here. So yeah, come on up. And I'll go over what all they won. I just don't want to mess up anything, so I'm going to read it.
The 4 wins at the State Junior Beta Club Convention underscore the diverse talents present among Edgewood Middle School students. In the category of academics, where students take a time test, Braden Gauntz placed 4th in the state for 6th grade math. Jeremy Lawton placed 2nd in 8th grade social studies, and Cheney Gunter placed 4th in the state for 6th grade language arts. Caitlin Wilson entered the solo, duo, trio competition with a dance, and she won 1st place. She was also invited with a golden ticket as well. All of these students were invited to nationals to compete on a national level. They're brilliant. The amount of talent that is at Beta is just insane. It's unbelievable. And the fact that our students get a chance to see it, to meet other students at their level and compete at that level is pretty phenomenal. So super proud of them. They did a great job.
Not to highlight one over the other, but just to give you guys an awareness, those that performed in front, it was during a meeting of the entire Beta convention when they performed, and there was somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 spectators that they had to perform in front of. So this was a major deal that they could get over their nerves and perform well enough to actually to win and get these golden tickets. So another big round of applause for both Beta clubs.
Thank you, guys. We're super proud of our students, and we thank our staff for investing in them and continuing that. This time, Dr. Taylor will have your superintendent report.
Yes, thank you, and congratulations. Great job and way to represent our Wildcats. That's exciting, and you get to go to nationals. That's even greater. So, good job. Yeah, thank you. Have a good evening. Yes, in your packets tonight, there are field trips, professional leave requests, and fundraiser requests. Did not know if y'all had any questions or concern. Okay, and there's no overnights. Okay. All right, and then also there's a parenting report. Got any questions or concerns about that? Okay, and then Officer Boudreaux is not here, and so he has a safety report in there, but he's not here, so he stated that if you have questions, you can email him, or you can email me, and I will email him. So if you have some concerns.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Spadaro. Mike.
Good evening, Dr. Taylor, Mr. Jackson, members of the board. I'm going to go over the 24-25 program of studies. So I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Sproul for putting this together. I'm just the one presenting, but he did all the legwork. So thank you, Mr. Sproul, for doing a great job putting our program of studies together. But what the program of studies does, all high schools has, is basically outlines all of the classes that we offer in the district, educational activities, and the requirements to be classified with each grade. You know, what each student has to have, a certain number of credits that they have to have in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade in our academic programs at the high school. There's details in there, course titles, descriptions, what the prerequisites are if you want to take, like, you know, an honors class, an AP class, a dual enrollment class. And then we recommend classes for sequences by taking those courses. And I do have the link in there. It's a 75-page document, so if you ever want some leisure time to look at all the classes we offer, it is there for your viewing as well. And then we do make changes every year. We kind of look at our program and studies, and you know, we want to see what students' interests are and what things that we need to offer that are new, and what things that we take away because the student interest isn't there anymore. So what a good sign is, and what we're changing because of student interest and with all the farming going on and all the animals that we have with our ag program, is we're moving from horticulture to plant and animal systems as a CTE pathway. And that is going to be offered right at 96 High School. Horticulture is offered at our Career Center, and it's offered at Piedmont Tech as well. So instead of it offering it three times at 3 different locations to our students, we figure we're going to change up that pathway, and that was driven by our ag teacher, Mr. Henderson Rowe. So we're going to change that CTE pathway starting for the 24-25 school year. We had sports medicine in the program of studies. We don't offer that anymore because of we don't have a teacher anymore. But if students still are interested in sports medicine, instead of taking it at our base school, they can still take sports medicine through the Career Center. So that pathway is still offered, just not at 96 High School. And then we're adding education and training pathway. We really want to try to add this pathway because for teacher recruitment, we want to try to grow our own here in Greenwood School District 52. We have a lot of students who have gone through our school system, who go to Lander or Piedmont Tech. They come back and they teach for us. So we want to try to start that interest, particularly it's offered in 7th grade. We're going to try to offer the pro team. We offer in 8th grade right now. It kind of starts the process. It starts kind of the brainstorming and getting students interested in team building activities and actually start kind of going into classrooms as well. So we're going to try to start that in 7th, but we offer in 8th grade. And then if they're still interested in becoming an educator, we like to offer introduction to early childhood starting in 10th grade. We do have Teacher Cadet 1 and Teacher Cadet 2 as dual credit classes. Those students will take that in 11th and 12th grade. And then we like to add Early Childhood 1 and Early Childhood 2. And if they take 4 of those 5 bolded classes, they will be known as a CTE completer, which will help our students on the school report card as college and career ready. So we're brainstorming, we're trying to offer it. If we have the staff, if we have the right teacher certification, that we're going to add those to the program of study because we may not be able to do it in 24-25, but we're going to put it in there, and hopefully a year from now, 2 years from now, we'll have everything in alignment so that that pathway can be available for our students. Does anyone have any questions about the 24-25 program of studies? We got a lot of changes going on, a lot of great things that are happening with our instructional materials. We got new ELA standards. We're going to have new resources that we haven't had for like the last 11, 12 years. So we're really excited about that, but it's been a lot of work, a lot of legwork. And I'm going to ask Ms. Becky Corbin, our Director of Literacy, who's been doing all the legwork, making sure everything's organized, putting these teams together so teachers had input in selecting what our new instructional materials are and the timeline that we're going to be rolling these out.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. I just want to tell you a little bit about our process that we used here in Greenwood 52 for our adoption of our ELA instructional materials. Tonight we will be making recommendations to the board for the textbooks that we would like to adopt. I want to give you a little bit of a background for how South Carolina, the process for adoption of materials works. Our State Board of Education is responsible for adopting all instructional materials to be used in all of our South Carolina public schools. That process is specific to subject areas. Each year they have specific subjects that they adopt new materials for. It typically coincides with the review of our appropriate South Carolina standards, depending on the subject, and it's usually a 6-year cycle. ELA is very much out of line with that for various reasons. It has been 12 years since we adopted last for our K through 12 ELA instructional materials. So we are very excited about this. Another thing, just a note about the process, the state creates instructional materials advisory committees. Those committees are made up of public school teachers, administrators, and other representatives in whichever academic area is being adopted at the time. And they're responsible for advising the State Board of Education with recommendations for the adoptions. And as I said, 2012 was our last year that we adopted ELA materials. Part of the charge for adopting materials is that we are required to make sure any materials that are adopted meet the following criteria to deem them high-quality instructional materials. They have to be aligned to our state standards, on grade level, so it is providing on grade level instruction, designed to be scientifically based. You've probably heard a lot about the science of reading, so our textbooks that we have up for adoption have to align with the science of reading, and it has to be a comprehensive program and be reviewed to make sure it's, you know, a valid and reliable high-quality source. This is a little bit about our timeline in Greenwood 52. In December of 23, we formed our ELA Textbook Selection Committee, and at the same time, the State Board of Education released the approved list of materials that were up for adoption, so we knew what it had been narrowed down to. In January, our textbook committee attended the textbook caravans, which were put on by the state, where each of the vendors come and present their product to us. January and February, after that textbook caravan, our committee spent time going and meeting with teachers, administrators, and sharing the materials and information, and actually going through those materials and looking to see how we felt that worked for our school district and what we felt like would be best for our students. At the end of February, our team finalized our recommendations, and then at the beginning of March, we carried those recommendations to Dr. Spadero, who approved them, and then those were sent to Dr. Taylor, who also approved them, and now we're seeking board approval for these recommendations. These are the members of our textbook selection committee, so you can see that we have a very expansive list of people, all the way from kindergarten through our high school, so that we had representation for every area of K through 12 that we were adopting instructional materials for. I'd like to say also thank you to Ms. Blackwell she led our EMS and our NSHS teams, and I focused on NSPS and NSCS, so thank you to Ms. Blackwell. Our committee recommendations are as follows. For kindergarten through 5th grade, we're recommending Houghton Mifflin Harcourt into reading. That will be the same series across the board. 2nd and 3rd grade handwriting. This is a supplemental resource. We're recommending Zahner Blosser, although I will tell you that our Houghton Mifflin into reading does have some handwriting built into that. The state only pays for 2nd and 3rd grade. And like I said, this is supplemental. So that would be our recommendation for selection. That is a resource that we've used over the years. 6 through 12, our recommendation is McGraw-Hill, South Carolina Study Sync. I'm very happy to say, I joked with Dr. Spadera. He was like, hopefully we can get it to, line up. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to happen. But it did. Our 6th through 12th grade teachers really worked together. Our committee members, all of our other teachers, and studied the materials. They actually had an additional meeting with the company to ask more questions and landed on this resource as one that they felt like would be appropriate from 6th all the way through 12th grade. And our last recommendation is for advanced placement in English literature and composition. It's Bedford, Freeman, and Worth, titled Literature and Composition, the 3rd edition. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek at these resources. So we're into reading for South Carolina. Our student resources, our students will have their own textbook. They'll be in different volumes. As you can see, like our kindergarten, maybe you can read that, they get 1 volume. And as they go up in grade, sometimes they end up with multiple volumes. They will also have access to digital resources. And our K through 2 actually comes with Amira, which is a form of AI. If you had asked me back when, if anybody could put a child on a machine or a computer and let it read to them and get feedback that was appropriate, I said, no way, no how. Unbelievably, she's pretty spot on. So Amira will be for K through 12. We hope that we will be able to have a positive implementation with that for our K through 2 children. And it will also benefit our teachers if we can successfully implement this, because it completes running records for teachers. So that is a process that they don't necessarily have to do all the time one-on-one with a student. Just another tool for teachers and another support. And some of the things I'm highlighting, this is not the end-all be-all, but these are some of the big big things available. Teacher resources, teachers will have access to all of the digital resources. One of the things within this, there is a structured literacy teacher's guide, and part of this is editable teacher lesson plans, which is really awesome. And the structured literacy teacher guide actually aligns to our letters training that we will begin in the fall. So they actually have it structured in two different ways. So if you're going through that, it follows that path as you go through the professional development. And again, they will have access to the teacher resources linked to Amira. Some of their classroom resources, our kindergarten and first grade teachers will get big books for their classrooms. All of our grades will get classroom read-alouds. And then there will be a choice to be made for K through 2. They will have to choose whether they want to select decodable readers or the Rigby Literacy Library Package. And then our grades 3 and up will get the Rigby Library Package. That's an automatic for those grade levels. And two other resources to highlight from this, we get instructional cards and kits for K through 2. These are phonics-based kits, and it focuses on phonics and phonemic awareness, which is a huge deal for us because in the past we've known that we needed a resource that would allow us to be systematic in our instruction. So we're excited that this is embedded within our instructional materials. And there will also be trade books that will focus on writing. Again, Zahner Blosser, it is a supplemental resource. They have of course, a teacher and a student edition, but there's also a portal that teachers can use to access additional materials. 6 through 12, McGraw-Hill, South Carolina Study Sync. Just a little bit about what comes with that for our teachers. They get consumable print editions for students. They get print teacher editions, digital versions of everything, and they also get to select 180 print novels to help build their classroom libraries, which they are super excited about. And there's also some mini digital text online as well. Just some highlights here. They have audio for text with annotation. There's assessment options, differentiation, and it's aligned with many LMS products, and Google being ours, it is aligned with that. There is support for writing instruction. There are several types of ways that teachers can implement writing and practices for students within their instruction. And they have what they call a writing feedback loop. And part of that is they can have students create an anonymous peer review. There is an integrated essay assistant, teacher feedback with video response, and then a plagiarism checker, which is awesome because sometimes you don't have access to that for free, so this will be built in. And last but not least, our AP English Literature and Composition. That's a mouthful to say. This is the 3rd edition, titled Essential Voices, Essential Skills for the AP course. And a little bit about that, it is divided into chapters which are aligned to the AP course description. The first 3 chapters focus on reading and writing skills to help students pass the AP assessment. And then chapters 4 through 9 are anthologies organized by theme, which they have to be able to speak to within that test. The teachers will get a teacher edition, print and ebook. There are many teacher resources online, and they do have access to a test bank. Whew, that was a lot. If approved tonight, if these resources are approved, this will be our timeline. I sent this to you previously. I think it's in your packet. Our district would go in and select our resources with the state by March the 29th. On Tuesday, April the 16th, we will hold a parent night for review of our ELA instructional materials so that parents can come in, view those materials, and just have a minute to look at those and ask any questions that they may have. Then in April, all districts will place their pre-order. We will certainly be on top of that early so that we can get those back in due to our schedule. And then in the summer of this year, we will actually get our materials in and get those to teachers. So That's the big picture of our ELA instructional materials adoption. Do you have any questions for me?
Good job.
Thank you.
I would say good job. So we need to, okay, so they're seeking approval of this recommendation, so I'll need a motion and a second to approve the recommendation that has been presented tonight.
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. That carries.
All right, thank you so very much.
Thank you. All righty. Mr. Andrew Mackey, the money man.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be up here as always. I'll just jump right into our monthly financial report. As of the end of February, February 29th, I've been telling you guys for months that our revenue will swing in January once we get our property tax revenue in. I actually have some numbers to back that up now, so it's not just me saying it. Through February, our revenue for the year, our general fund revenue is $11.2 million. Last year at this time was 10.4. Our expenses are 9.1 million as well. So our revenues have a pretty significant, pretty significantly higher than our expenses at this point, which is a good thing. If you look at our local revenue and sort of just trend analysis projected out for the rest of the year, we should come in a little bit over where we budgeted. Same with our state allocation. It's looking like it's going to come in over what we budgeted as well. That will change a little bit once the 135 student count data comes out, but hopefully it's not too much. So we're trending in a really positive direction to finish out the year. There's really nothing unusual or out of the ordinary from an expenditure, spending standpoint. As always, I've provided a list of some of our purchase services and supplies expense accounts for you guys to look at, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have on the monthly update. All right, so if there's no questions, I'll move on to our capital project update. If you've driven down Johnson Road recently in the last couple days, you might notice that there's some new bricks on the outside of the building out there. So a lot of the places where the old building has been demolished have now been filled in with bricks. They're starting to look more like 3 separate buildings rather than one building that's been demolished. So that's exciting. They're still trending on schedule, but there is one sort of outstanding issue that may become a problem down the road, and that's the switchgear, which is essentially just what controls all the power. And you have to have that to hook all the equipment and mechanical units and stuff up to it. It's right now sort of right at the deadline of will it be delivered in time to get it done. I think we have until April 12th, I think was the date that they've sort of pinpointed to say, if we don't get this, if this delivery date doesn't come through like we need it to, we'll need to explore other options, which is either A, wait and delay the project, or B, spend a little bit of money for a temporary fix to get it open on time, and then they'll fix it and get the switchgear put in whenever it does come in. So that is looming out there, but at this point we're still in good shape. So I guess we'll know more next month. Otherwise, by the end of March, the majority of the structural work will be done. Pretty much the bones of the building will all be in place. The structural steel, the roofs will all, for the most part, be done. There'll be some small things here and there. And from there, it's just pretty much interior work. And then obviously parking lots and stuff will be finished at the very end. So hopefully by the end of March, you won't see much work going on outside. It'll all be inside. Some other projects, our complex, or I call it the complex, the 96 High School and Edgewood Middle School parking lot, the solicitation just got posted yesterday, so we'll get bids in, I think the week after spring break, and then hopefully we'll be able to move forward with that and stop parking in fire lanes and bus lanes and wherever else we park at the complex. The grass, yeah, yeah, everywhere. So those 30 spots will come in handy, I'm sure. One thing I didn't put on here, you know, we got a school safety facilities upgrade grant from the state. We got $55,000. Finally, it got the final word awarded, and we're going to spend that money to try to beef up the access controls at this primary school. So we'll have the key fob entries on all the doors. They have a lot of exterior doors here, so hopefully we'll beef up the security of Kelly's building. Any questions on the capital projects? All right. I'll move on to the next thing. I didn't have these quite ready when I had to turn these board packets in, so I'll hand them out now. Now this is a discussion of our administrative salary scales. We'll approve all the salary scales with the budget in the next couple months when we get that finalized. But one of the things we've noticed looking at our administrative salary scales is that they're a little bit lower than a lot of our neighboring districts, and that was backed up by the salary study we did a couple years ago. Our assistant superintendent salary scales was 85% of our neighboring districts, and our principal scales were anywhere between 80 and 83% of what other districts are paying. You know, which that just tells us that we need to try to raise our ceiling a little bit. And if you look at our salary scale, so on the sheet I handed, the one on the left is our current scale, and the one on the right is sort of our proposal. About those first few steps, 0 to 5, they're not feasible for an administrator. One, there's a lot of times a teacher will be getting paid more working 190 days as opposed to 235 days. And then you run into issues, you know, having a supervisor getting paid less. So they're not really feasible. So our sort of proposal is to just take out those first 5 steps and then tack on steps on the end of the scale, raising each step by 2%, which is the standard for all of our salary scale, non-teaching salary scales. The step increases by 2%. So what that means for our current administrators, so let's say we have, this is just an example, a principal getting paid at step 18. On the new scale, that then becomes step 12. The pay stays exactly the same. It just increases the ceiling. It gives us more room to grow. And so then those administrators, you know, they'd still be available for an annual step increase. We'll still look into cost of living adjustments, you know, all of this pending budget availability. This won't directly impact our budget this year because we won't have anybody at the very, very top of the scales, but it gives us a higher ceiling, more room to grow, and could impact our budget down the road once people start climbing higher than where we're at now. So we just wanted to inform you guys of kind of what we're thinking, see if you guys had any feedback on that or any thoughts on that before we move forward with this.
What's the second column? Is that just years 28, 29 through something? There's 2 columns.
Yeah, so that first column on the left is what our current scale is.
Oh, okay.
And the second scale is, so the highlighted parts of the scales we're cutting out, and then we'll just slide everything down and tack on numbers at the bottom. You see what is that making sense?
Not really.
Okay, so if you look at, let me borrow this, thank you. So steps 0 through 5, I'm looking at the assistant superintendent scale, your first page.
Correct.
We will remove those. Not really remove them, we'll just take out those numbers, slide the scale down. So step 6, 76,259 now becomes step 0.
Okay.
And then on the back end, we just tack on, increase each step by 2%. So that'll raise, like right now, our assistant superintendent salary scale, our maximum is 115,000. This increases that maximum to 130,000.
Okay.
Which puts us more in line with our neighboring districts.
So is this a range, or is this second column 29 years? So it's just a range?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
any other questions or concerns.
Thank you.
Before we finally vote on it, will you have a number for how much it will affect the budget?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can segue from there into our budget update. This is not a formal first reading of the budget. Our board policy says we have to have some sort of budget update in March, which is why we've got this included. It's not a formal reading because it's really just a lot of assumptions on my part, because we don't have really any kind of concrete numbers from the state or from the county. We don't know what type of salary scales for teachers we're going to have to meet from the state. So all of that's still yet to be decided. But we do have an initial, very much working budget that I've included. The revenue that we're projecting is $16.78 million. Our expenditures are $16.87 million, which is just a slight deficit of $87,000. Some of the assumptions we've made, this includes a $1,500 bump to increase to all steps on all the salary scales. And that's based on a very early rumor that they were going to increase the teacher minimum by $15,000, each step of the teacher scale by $15,000. Last year they did 1,500, yeah, not 15,000, yeah, sorry. Whew. Yeah, you guys are all going to be back in the classroom.
Yeah.
1,500. Last year they did 2,500 for teachers, and we tried to make that equitable across the board. So based on that early rumor of 1,500, we tried to mirror that. So I did a 1,500 increase to all salary steps. That is already outdated data, since the new salary schedule sets the minimum at $47,000, and each increase is not equitable across the board. Some of those steps would be an 8% increase. Some of those were already over the new minimum. So we're really going to have to workshop if that becomes the scale, we'll have to workshop that. So that'll change. This also includes a step increase for all employees, which we typically try to do every year. With ESSER money running out in September, this includes some of the positions we have in ESSER that we would like to retain, like RTI teacher, a couple coach positions. We'd like to retain those, so that's $210,000 included. From a revenue standpoint, I've increased our state allocation by 8%. 2 years ago, our allocation increased 18%, and from this year to last year, it's looking like a 9% increase. So 8% is a little conservative, but I think it's, based on the current House Ways and Means budget, I think it's a reasonable number. Last year, or for the current year, the Department of Education's allocation was $7.8 billion, and we are getting about $6.7 million of that, which is 0.09%. In the current House Ways and Means budget for next year, the Department of Education's allocation is $8.3 billion. With an 8% increase, that brings us to $7.2 million, which is about 0.09% of that. It's a lot more complicated than that, but at least that number is a good barometer to say we're on the right track. So the biggest question mark, though, with our budget is the negative impact from Fuji, because we'll start to see that negative impact for the first time this year. The initial estimates for that were about $395,000 loss. I have plugged in a loss of $650,000 just to be conservative, and because that the way Fuji was closing initially was scaled. They'll close a little bit this year, a little bit more next year. I think they've sort of accelerated some of that, just informal discussions. So that number might be more, it might be less, because some of the buildings getting leased, the companies leasing it have equipment in there that they pay property tax on. None of that information will be available from the county until August. So that's the big question mark with our budget that could really swing things one way or the other. I've budgeted in an increase of 3% for our other property tax revenue. Typically, it's a 4% increase based on like a 4-year average. So that's also conservative. The one thing I can tell you is that our Tier 3 reimbursement, which is, so that's Act 388. So like no one pays school district tax on your personal residence. That all got pulled out of your tax bill and replaced by a penny sales tax. That's done really well the last few years. So our portion of that is increased by $118,000. And then I've increased all of our benefits by 6%, which health insurance, the employer portion is jumping 11% as of January 2025. So big jump there as well. So all that to say, as you can tell, I've made a lot of assumptions. I think they're fairly educated assumptions, but I could be completely wrong once we get some actual numbers, which we should get our initial budget projections from the state this week sometime. So we'll be able to make some better decisions then. And then just to give you a little more information on the Fuji closure impact. Like I said, for this first year, as of the July 2021 estimates was $395,000, and then from each year thereafter, it's $518,000 loss. Now that's not an additional $518,000. It's just that's our revenue loss from when it was full time, if that makes sense. Now the light at the end of the tunnel is Teijin. Right now, we should start getting revenue from Teijin in 2026, 2027. So we've got 2 years to get there. When they start paying, their refund goes from 100% refund to a 55% refund. I asked the county, what if we got the Teijin money this year at that 55% reduction? What would that number be? And it was $937,000. And Teijin's still not done with their investment, so that number is going to grow a little bit. So, you know, we'll lose up to $500,000 or more from Fuji, and we've got that much and more coming from Teijin eventually.
We just got to make it through that.
Yeah.
Yes, so we got to limp along for a couple years, and then hopefully we'll have 5 years of good money from Teijin at 55%, but then after that it's 100%. So 10 years from now, 6 years from now, whatever the math is, we'll be good. I don't have my calculator, so.
That'll be time for new primary school like Dr. Ackerberg said.
That's right. That's right. Well, that was our plan, was in 10 years.
That's right.
A year or so ago was to get a new primary school. So maybe it'll all work out by then. You guys will all still be on the board, so. And then just like just to go over our fund balance a little bit, because that's sort of like our nest egg, right? You know, our savings in case something drastic happens. At the end of last fiscal year, it was $9.2 million. We have then since transferred $4.5 million to capital projects for the old high school project. So we're sitting at $4.7 million now. A conservative estimate of where we might have some excess from our current year budget is about $850,000. So that's putting our general fund budget at the end of this year about $5.6 million. Our board policy states we have to have a 25% minimum, 25% of our expenditures of the prior year. So that number would be 3.6. So we're almost $2 million over that minimum. We also have a 30% maximum that says if you're over 30%, you have to consider using that excess on something. That 30% number is $4.4 million, so we're $1 million over that 30% maximum too, if this year goes as I've anticipated. So we do have a little bit set aside to where if we need to bleed out a little bit, we can. I don't recommend that as the finance guy, but it's there. So that's just like I said, a very rough draft of our budget and sort of where we are on a long-term basis. and hopefully we'll be back next month or with a first reading of a budget. Any questions? All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, Ms. Anderson, policies, please.
Good evening. I bring just a few things to you tonight on the policy side. JICDAE is an exhibit that goes with the code of conduct, and it goes in student handbooks. I met with principals roughly, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we reviewed this document. The only change that was made to the document was Ms. Weeks wanted primary and elementary schools used as the wording at the top of the charts. So that's the only thing that was changed in the document from what's currently in our policy manual. That does not require board approval because it is an exhibit. So I'm just notifying you of the change that we've made, so that if somebody asks why it was on the agenda, you'll be able to tell them. Okay? Then I bring 2 remaining policies to you at the request of a board member. Policy KFA, public conduct on school property, and policy JICK, sportsmanship. Policy KFA talks about how any person or an adult, if they misbehave in an unsportsmanlike manner during an athletic or co-curricular event, they can be ejected for up to a year. My words wouldn't come, I'm sorry. So that policy is policy that I know that Ware Shoals has in place. They put it in place early this year, and so I was asked to bring it to you for first reading tonight. Policy JICK is on sportsmanship. It talks about how coaches, players, and adult spectators are to act during events, and at the bottom it lists the expectations of all those groups of people. And so I bring both of those policies to you tonight for first reading. If there are any comments on those policies, I'll take them now, or if you would rather email me comments or questions, I'm open to that. And I will be prepared to bring it back to you for second reading at the next meeting. Is there any discussion?
Appreciate you doing this. It's sad that we have to do this to make it happen, but you know, we see it not only on the high school level or middle school level, you see it in Little League. I've been to several Little League games this year for my grandson, and it's unreal. And then we saw what happened Saturday at the South Carolina LSU game. You know, so it's sad we have to do this, but here we are. But I think these are good policies that we can live by, and hopefully we don't have to deal with it here in 96. But thank you for doing that.
You're welcome, and I echo Mr. Jackson's comments. You know, our primary concern in Greenwood School District 52 is to keep our children and our public spectators and everyone safe. So the adoption of these 2 policies is a safety step in that direction. Okay.
All right, on to personnel.
Okay. All right, so tonight I have 1 candidate to bring before you for consideration. That recommendation is placed at your seat as you came in tonight. That recommendation is for the 96 high school principalship job. So I bring to you candidate A, and I'm seeking a motion to employ candidate A as principal of 96 high school.
Okay, there's a motion in a second. I was actually honored to serve on this committee, on the interview committee, and we had some good applicants, but I think we have a very good choice here, and at this time I'll seek, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. So that passes.
Okay. Greenwood School District 52 is extremely proud to recognize Fitz Sproul as the upcoming principal at 96 High School for the 24-25 year. Fitz, would you please come and Fitz, would you please come and join me just for 1 minute?
Put you on the spot.
Okay. Let's go this side. Okay. All right. So do you have anything you would like to say to the board?
I just want to say that I'm honored and humbled to be able to be the next principal of 96 High School, to be able to carry on what has started and to improve upon it.
Thank you, Mr. Sprout. We're very proud of you.
Yep.
Many of you don't realize that Mr. Sprout has come up through our ranks. He came up as a teacher and as an assistant principal and later into the principalship. So we talk a lot about growing your own. Mr. Sprout is a product pretty much of our end on the personnel side. So we're very excited to have him in that position. All right, the next thing I'd like to bring to you is a hiring update. We have a couple of things that have happened in the district since we last met, and I want to make sure that you've been well informed of those things. Miss Denise Gunner, we have accepted a resignation from her effective in March. She is a food service employee that works in our district. Today we accepted a resignation for the 24-25 school year, effective at the end of this school year, for Regina Holloway. Miss Holloway is a special education teacher at 96 Primary School. Dr. Taylor approved a lateral transfer of Miss Teresa Mejia. Miss Mejia has an ESOL certification, and Miss Mejia will be working at Edgewood Middle School to teach ESOL and response to intervention. And then that triggered the advertisement of a job, response to intervention teacher, which we already had out at one school. Now we have it out at 2 schools. Last time we met, I don't believe that Mr. Rice had officially resigned, but he has now, and of course we've elected his successor. So I want to make sure everybody knew that we didn't get the cart before the horse was getting fed set here. Okay. And we have also hired, we're allowed to hire classified folks without board approval. So we have hired Margaret Nettles to replace Miss Polly Ham at the primary school. And Miss Nettles, her background checks and all her requirements are done, and she'll be signing her letter of agreement with me tomorrow. So she's in place and ready to roll. All right, now since I sent you this update before, I sent it kind of early, there have been some changes to this actually. The principalship has come off of it. We have a special education resource teacher at the elementary, and now with the resignation of Ms. Holloway, we have one at the primary that's currently out on the site. We have an RTI elementary teacher, and we also have, by the moving of Ms. Mejia, we have an RTI primary school teacher. We still have middle level language arts out with Mr. Schoolfield, and we still have a bus driver out, and we have Miss Denise Gunner's food service position out. I say that because I had hoped that I could have had some of these recommendations to you tonight, but our principals and our people that are interviewing are not in a position yet that they're ready to make a recommendation on those jobs. However, we have had some interest in those jobs and some worthy candidates, so I hope that at some point we'll be ready to move forward. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is actually retirees that return to work. And I'm going to see if I can explain this so everyone can kind of understand why we're doing what we're doing. Our benefits as school district employees come from PEBA. And PEBA has a rule that regulates how much a retiree returning to work can make. PEBA sets a $10,000 cap for folks that retire and return to work, with one exception. If you fall on a critical needs area, then that $10,000 cap is waived and you earn your full salary. The critical needs list is driven by the South Carolina Department of Education. Every year they meet and they carry that list of folks that are in those hard to find jobs to the state board, and the state board adopts a new critical needs list. So with the teacher shortage the way it is, you can only imagine about every position is on the critical needs list. The critical needs list is supposed to be published on the State Department website typically by February the 14th. It's not published yet. Okay? And that PEBA rule requires us, if you're going to retire and return to work, we have to advertise your job and we have to try to see if there's anyone that has equal certification qualifications that this person has, interview those folks, and then decide if the employee we have is the best candidate or not. So retiring and returning to work is extremely chancy. It changes year to year based on the critical needs list as to what your salary could be. It also changes as to what that population out there could be. So I say that to say we have currently about 11 people that do this in our district. So my goal was to have all these new hires done so that when I got to the first couple days of spring break, that I could advertise these 11 jobs. So in your packet, you have a list of who these folks are. That's on page 56. You have the memo from last year because the new memo has not come out yet about this on page 57 through actually 59. On pages 60 and 61, you have mock ads that I've already written to put the jobs out. So I didn't want you, when you saw all these jobs go out, minus the people's names beside them, that you would say, oh my goodness, what is all this? Are all these people leaving our district? What is going on here? So when you see it, you'll know what that is. And I attached the names to the jobs so you would have some understanding when we advertise them. Of course, the names will be removed. On page 62 is the policy that drives how long we have to post a job. And if you look at that policy at the bottom last paragraph, it says for at least 3 calendar days. Now, most of our jobs are at least 2 weeks, just to draw a good draw. We have to at least do 3 calendar days. So now you have all the information that I have about retirees returning to work. I'm going to stop a minute and see if you got any questions, if I can clear up any misunderstandings that you might have based on what I said. We good? Okay. All right, and Mr. Chairman, that concludes the personnel section of our meeting.
Okay, that does conclude our regular meeting. We do need to go into executive session for discussion on approval of the 24-25 administrative contracts, approval of 24-25 teacher contracts, and classified employment letters of agreement, and resignations of employees A and B. So I'll need a motion.
Before we do that, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say thanks to the team that put these TVs up.
Yeah.
Because that was coming very handy.
Yeah.
So Dr. Eicher, yeah, appreciate you. Dr. Eichenberg and I talked about it last month when we had the presentation that Dr. Spadero did, so it worked out great.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
And I'll go ahead and make the motion to go into executive session too, since I'm talking.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're going to executive session. We'll do like a 2-minute break to run to the restroom if you need to.
Bye, y'all.
I want to speak.